Hey there folks, it's your pal Joni here with a little unboxing video. My record came. Well, I want to talk about the actual record, kind of give you a vibe if you're interested in getting one for yourself, what the artwork is like, what the actual plate is like. I had some people complaining on my test pressing video that it wasn't vinyl fidelity because I recorded it through this microphone just like in the room. And to that I say, you want vinyl fidelity, pay vinyl prices, buy a record. Not my problem. But I figured one cool thing I could do, I usually kind of like make up interlude music for my videos. I'm gonna put the record on in a minute. I brought my turntable in here and I'm gonna record it direct and use that as like the underscore for the video. And you'll still hear me yapping, but you will get a better sense of like what the full fidelity version of the record is. But if you're interested at all, I would suggest you go to my Bandcamp or DeepMatter's website and pre-order a copy for yourself. The record comes out on May 15th and it is great. It came out really well. The audio fidelity is truly the best version of this music. It's a limited run, about 500 copies were pressed. I have some here in the city. I'll tell you how you can get one of those at the end of the video. Oh my god. So let's get into a bit of the record. This top box is the smoked gray version of the actual LP, and the bottom box is just black, like you have for a traditional record. I have one here that is still in the like cellophane shrink wrap, so it has, you know, little UPC label, little descriptor from my label DeepMatter, and you can see the front cover and the back cover. I'm gonna keep this one unopened because I want to sell it and make some money back on the cost of this thing. So this is gonna go back in the box. First ever unboxing video where things go back in the box. You saw it here first, you heard it here first. I'm so fucking stupid. So this is my personal copy. I wanted one because it's my first record. I don't think I'll always be so personally attached with the actual like pressing of it because like I had the test pressing, which is the cool part in my opinion. But it is very cool to have this particular one because it's my first, and I'm gonna use it as a display copy at my merch table so people can see it, touch it, look at it before they buy one of their own. It is a gatefold. If you have heard me talk about this record, this is an album that I made before and after changing my name and going on gender-affirming hormone therapy. I am a trans woman, despite my voice sounding like this. So the night side is like pre-transition, the day side is post-transition. Cool thing with the gatefold is you actually get to see it being seamless, so it just looks like, you know, kind of one big, beautiful piece of artwork. The inside is simply just the track titles and like some of the credits and copyright information. I chose not to do liner notes. I think it's already pretty generous of me to share that this is a transition album because that is a very personal and politically charged thing right now, and I didn't really feel like I needed to give up too much more of the gag than just that. This is just like a blank side. There's no like folder for the record to go in, and then this side is where the actual LP is. So comes in a black sleeve like this. I decided to keep one of the smoked gray ones because it's so cool and pretty. And yeah, we have the two sides with the centerpiece from DeepMatter. I think it looks really beautiful with like the gradient that goes like day to night, night to day, whatever you call it. And DeepMatter's like beautiful logo, and then the track title is nothing too interesting here. I guess, oh, the credits are on this too, that's interesting. Right on. Simple little LP, one album on one side, the other on the other side. So I wanted to take the first part of this video to talk about the process of making a vinyl record for those curious, because I assume some folks that are watching here that are musicians have aspirations of making their own record at some point and getting it on vinyl, much like I did, you know, years before I was able to do this. And then I want to talk a bit about the logistical side of things in terms of costs, and I'm gonna very like explicitly kind of break down how much I invested into this, sort of the unseen costs of making something like this, and what the other side of it, you know, profit looks like. Hopefully you can get a better idea, if you're interested in doing this kind of thing, of what logistically that could look like for you in your future. To give some background, I had released 5 full-length LPs digitally with my label DeepMatter, as well as some EPs independently, some singles with them, some singles with other labels and like compilations and things like that. And I had a decent amount of listenership across streaming platforms and Bandcamp, as well as like obviously the audience that I have here on YouTube. And I've been like in the green for a while. Like I make money through streaming, through digital royalties, and that's why I felt ready to take the jump into physical media, is that I already had some experience building an audience. I knew that I wouldn't cost someone a bunch of money pressing records that didn't go anywhere. It felt right for me for that circumstance. So that's kind of the background of it, is like having enough of an audience to justify doing something expensive like this, all things considered. So that's kind of the like long background of it. Musically, I wrote most of the music for this project in the spring of 2024. I was on like a writing tear. I often work in like a 3-month period of like obsessively writing every day, and then I don't write for like 6 more months. I'm in the like not writing part right now, but it's great. You gotta like take time to reload and like, you know, live a little bit and rest and all that kind of stuff, and it's a lot of effort to make fully actualized things. So made it all in 2024, like writing wise, demo wise. I got that sent over to Tom Pickford, who runs DeepMatter. He like loved the music, and I sort of floated the idea that I wanted to do 2 EPs themed around night and day. And I was pretty like vague around it. I had the idea of going in a more fictional direction musically, where it wasn't about my life so explicitly, which is crazy because of how this turned out. And I had this idea of like almost forming a character that was Jerk, that would be going on this journey through the night and the day. And it was after Trump got elected the second time, and I was just like feeling the like dystopianness of it all. So I started to realize that like night is kind of akin to like the darkness of humanity basically, whereas day is equivalent to like the overwhelmingly good things that humans do. And it was kind of a cool cyclical project on duality. And then I realized, like, when I was getting ready to transition basically, that like, oh, I like finished the night side as Josh, and I was starting to finish the day side as Joni. So I was like, oh, this is like my night and day, literally. So it just became a really cool, like, multifaceted project. So 2024 is when I wrote all the demos, got them approved by my label, and started post-production, or production rather, not post-production, in 2025. That began like right here in this room. So I took the demos and arranged out like full versions basically of everything, and then tracked all of the keyboards, the basses and guitars, the saxophone, the parts of my voice right here. And then I booked a studio here in Brooklyn with my drummer Martine Wade, and we recorded the drums. From there, I had a friend of mine, Hunter Davidson. He runs a studio upstate in my hometown. He mixed the project, so he mixed that. I did the digital masters for it, and then kind of moved on to the day side. While the night side was coming out, I was finishing the day side. So kind of same idea with the day side. I tracked everything in this room: keyboards, guitar, bass, saxophone, vocals, all that kind of stuff. And then did a session upstate at that studio with Hunter Davidson with the drums for that side basically. And then he mixed that side, I did the digital masters on it, and then I sent everything to my brother Jeremy, who is an audio engineer, and he did the vinyl master for it. So the version you hear here is a little bit different than streaming from like an audio fidelity perspective. I don't think it's totally perceivable to like the average listener, slash like vinyl's never gonna sound like digital. You get a nice fat low end on this one, well compressed, better compressed than I'm able to masters. So that was all leading up to like basically December of 2025. So this year I've basically done like nothing related to the actual contents of the record. It's mostly been promoting it basically. So like making videos, kind of like interfacing with my label around things like press and radio and social media strategy and things like that. So this is kind of the season of this project where I just like want to get it out there, get people listening to it, and hopefully sell some of these and kind of like make back the costs of it. On a purely logistical level, it's about a 2-year process, or it was for me at least for this particular record. And I found from most other people that making a album that's gonna go on vinyl ends up being a much more involved task than making an album that goes on digital. It's just how it is. You're kind of introducing a new level of risk to it, and that you're investing a lot of money into pressing records and shipping and promoting and all that good stuff. But there's also the other side where you're able to maybe make a little bit more from it. And, you know, I'm going to transition at this point to talking about that. So there's sort of a few ways I'm going to break down the cost of doing something like this from a financial standpoint. So there's essentially 2 parties involved in this. There is me. So I'm going to make that a column right here. And there is my label, DeepMatter. I think about this sort of in like 3 capacities. Immaterial cost. Material cost that is non-recoupable. I had to look up how to spell recoupable. And I actually was right, but I didn't want to look dumb and spell it wrong and then just confidently stick with it, so I checked it, which more of us should do. Not because we're afraid of looking dumb, but we should just check ourselves before we assume we're right. And then the third one, sorry, I'm on like ramble mode right now, but I feel like people dig when I do these more candid videos, so hey, we'll see how it goes. There is material costs that are recoupable. So let me do some colors here to make it more fun. I'm gonna be green, DeepMatter's gonna be blue. For me, the immaterial cost is something like my experience as a musician and composer, my abilities, my years of doing this, the life experience, all the things that like lead me to being creative in the way that I am. Experience, skills. I would also say my network is a immaterial cost. And I would also say my brand / image, because just like we live in a world that has its judgments. I call that immaterial because like I can't really put a dollar amount on that. Like obviously like I have my like student loans that like got me educated, but it was also, you know, like a decade plus of practicing and like honing my skills. That stuff is sort of like, it's not tangible as paying for a test pressing or a pressing of something, or paying for studio time, or hiring a musician, or hiring a person to write a press release. Those things are more tangible costs. In terms of my labels end of that, they have these exact same 4 things. So for them, experience is gonna look like them knowing how to navigate things like distribution channels and publishing, all of the logistical side of things, which is, you know, also as invaluable as just like me being able to do music. Like we need both things to make a successful record. They also have, you know, skills in that realm. They know how to package things from like a PR perspective. I let them handle the cover art, which I'll talk about more in a second. That isn't totally in here, but they have the ability to realize this project alongside me. They also have their network, which is folks like DJs and playlisters and writers. And they also have their brand that happens to be known for music that is quite like mine, you know, jazz, fusion type things, multi-genre type of music. We both bring those immaterial costs to the table. And when you get to negotiating with a label in this circumstance, that's a huge consideration, is like, what am I bringing to the table? What are they bringing to the table? Is it an equitable relationship between the two of us? I get some labels in my DMs that don't have a third of the brand or experience that DeepMatter has, but they want more of a cut. This is sort of like the baseline costs of it from a human perspective, from a time and money invested perspective, from real life human in the world perspective. No one's looking to put a dollar amount on any of those things, and that's totally cool. It's assumed. I'm totally down with it. I trust them a lot. They trust me a lot. That's the foundation of a great experience and a way you're able to do things like make a record on vinyl. Now, the material costs for me look like studio time. So obviously I could do most of it here, but I did have to go to a studio, 2 studios for drums. I was able to get a deal on the one studio because the person that runs the studio was also mixing it, so he gave me some free session time, which was totally cool. So the studio time altogether came to $500. The next cost would be the musicians involved with the project. And in particular, that's my drummer, Martine Wade. For session time, I go off of the rate that was kind of compulsory for me when I was in the ad world, which is a day rate of about $300. In the independent music world, that's like pretty accepted, I would say. Obviously, like it's a bit of the Wild West in America. It's capitalist, you can set your own rate, but Martine was totally cool with being at $300 a day. We did 2 days of studio time, so altogether that came to $600. Now here's where it gets to be a little bit of a doozy. Mixing. So this was a 16-track project. The engineer that I work with is very good at what he does. He has a lot of analog experience and equipment, and just I knew he was gonna get it exactly where I wanted it to be. He asked me if I could do $200 a track, which equals out to $3,200, and it was a stretch. I'll be totally honest with you. I had to do it in installments. That was cool of him to even be cool with me paying it in installments, but that was the cost of the mixing. I did the digital masters myself. My brother did the vinyl masters. I sent him a Chewy gift card for his new dog. You know, we're siblings. We're not gonna do that to each other. So all together, it came to, what is that, $4,300. My goal with this record, I knew I would be spending a few $1,000s. I wanted to keep it under $5,000. The reason for that is that currently I make about $10,000 from digital royalties, plus a few thousand from publishing, a few thousand from my stuff I do here on Substack and YouTube. I make about $15,000 to $20,000 a year from Jerk. So not a lot, I can't make my full living off of it, but that with teaching, I do fine for myself. I knew that I could make that back basically within a year from my back catalog, and I also knew that it was worth the risk because I could probably even bump that up a little bit higher from the vinyl sales, which, like, if you know anything about streaming, you know it takes a lot of streams to get real money, and luckily I have a lot of streams. And that's come from just years of putting out music and having the right team behind me that can make it work like that. DeepMatter's material cost that I would say is non-recoupable, and that, like, they didn't, when I say non-recoupable, they're not paying me back for this stuff. It's not a part of the financial assessment for the record. It could be, I guess, in a different circumstance. Some people do that kind of stuff. I was fine with this circumstance, and here's why. They paid for the graphic design, which I am positive they paid at least $1,000 for the graphic design, probably more. The person that did it is incredibly good at what he does. That's my assumption there. And also, like, look at this shit. Like, this is like a work of art. Given, you know, the personal attachment I have to this record being my sort of like transition record, I couldn't have been more jazzed with it, and it was really great that they put out the money for that. So I don't know exactly how much it costs. I'm gonna guess at least $1,000, if not more. They also put together the press release. So that is basically a written document that goes out with the music to radio DJs, playlisters, writers, things like that, people that get the music heard by people, kind of like, I guess, like, I don't want to say influencers because you think of like content creators, but like real influencers, more like old school influencers. And they do a good job with that. They have a person that wrote the whole press release, so I know that had to be a few, days of work. So I'm also assuming, the cost of getting all the written stuff behind it done from a marketing perspective was several $100s, if not $1,000. Beyond that, they are doing their own social media campaign, / they are doing ads. All that stuff takes time, adding in several $100 more in terms of like time spent working on this stuff and money directly invested into things like ads. They're also taking on all of the fees associated with distribution, legal fees. They're the ones drawing up the contracts. All in all, these 4 categories, I can't imagine that we're too far off in terms of material costs that were sort of like non-recoupable. I think a lot of indie artists get the wrong idea that labels just want to take, and I think there are circumstances where labels do just want to take, but the right label is going to be bringing this sort of like immaterial value to the table. So I guess if you're an indie artist, you want to just assess what your immaterial value is in terms of like, what is the value of the work that you're doing, and then look at the value of the work that a party that you're trying to collaborate with from a business perspective is. And I'm lucky that it's pretty 50-50 in my circumstance. We both kind of bring a decent value to the table. Beyond that, I have the ability to make a fully analog record with real people for all things considered pretty cheap. I mean, $4,000 for a full band record basically is not nothing, but it's like not as much as people have spent, you know. I'm able to do things kind of on the cheap because of my skill set, because of my network, because of all these immaterial cost things. Same with them. They have a good network, they have a good skill set. They're able to also do these material cost things at a level that is affordable. That's sort of like the baseline agreement is I do this stuff, they do this stuff, and then comes the point of talking costs and profit essentially. The cool thing with digital is there's no recoupable material costs that DeepMatter imposes on me. So when we put out a record digitally, the first penny that comes through there is cut in half, and I get half, they get half. Beyond like the fees that go to distribution and things like that, that's a entry point. So it's like I think 10% of the whole pie goes to things like distro, and then the remaining 90% gets cut in half. I get that half, DeepMatter gets the other half. With vinyl, DeepMatter is taking on a risk. They're pressing the record, so that includes test pressings, and then there is the production press. They are also the ones from a logistical standpoint that handle the storefront, they handle the shipping. So those two, I don't really know what that cost would look like, / I could even consider that to be something that falls into the non-recoupable, but like I'm gonna put it here for now. I know that the 500 copies plus the test pressings, it costed about 1,500 pounds. You know, it was made in England, they use the pound. So let me check really quickly as to what 1,500 pounds equates to in like US dollars. Okay, so it's about $2,000 I'll say. Let's keep it nice and round. So $2,000 for 500 records. So all things considered, it comes down to about $4 per record. That's sort of like the whole lot of it. So of those 500, some of those are just given away to vinyl influencers, to radio DJs, to people that, you know, help it get listened to, help it get sold, things like that. I think it's between like 30 and 50 maybe. I'm not sure how big the network is for that kind of thing. Some of them, because of the distribution deal that we have, some level of those are just going into record stores, and those people are paying upfront for them, I believe, and they're taking their cut of the profit. So we get like, you know, a smaller amount of profit off of that, but there's something there, and it's kind of out of our hands, so it helps kind of like mitigate having the responsibility all on ourselves to sell the record. And then I got 60 of them. So what they do is they charge me about, I think, 10 pounds a record, and they ship them over here, which was like, you know, that was the expensive part because Donald Trump's an asshole and wants to tariff the rest of the world to death. I think all in all, I ended up just under $1,000 for those 60 records. So for me, for my 60 records, it costs about $15 per record. So the reason that I bought them for $10 a record plus shipping versus the cost, which is about $4 a record, is because the extra $6 goes towards recouping the cost of the vinyl, basically. Because in this circumstance, when you have $4 a record, they're selling for about $30 US on Bandcamp, which is about 25 pounds, I think. So a $30 record sells. The first thing that happens is they recoup that $4 basically, and then we have $26 left over. I think I get 13, they get 13. So after recouping the cost of it, that's the profit basically. And it doesn't quite work that way. It more works like, you know, $2,000 divided by $30 a record would be like, so basically we'd have to sell 66 records to make back the cost, and then everything after that would be profit essentially. But when you look at it as like a per record type of thing, record costs $30, $4 goes to the pay back the cost, the other 26 gets split between myself and DeepMatter. And there's probably, I bet the distributor gets a little chunk in there as well. So let's even say like I get $10, DeepMatter gets $10, the distributor gets 6, the cost is 4. All things considered, like pretty great when you look at streaming. In the case of the ones that I bought off of DeepMatter, they basically gave themselves a low profit for it. I can sell those same records that I got from them for $30, and instead of making $10 that I do from their store, I make $15. And the thing is that I'm the one taking on the logistics of it. I'm lugging them to shows, I'm plugging them when I'm on stage, I'm posting on Instagram about them, I'm taking, you know, orders and things like that. Because of that, I make a little extra money. I'm okay paying a little extra for those. And I also know that on the other side of that, DeepMatter's working their ass off to make sure that their copies sell and we can all make a little bit of money and get fed and like pay our rent and all that kind of stuff. So I think the reason I felt compelled to make this video, and I hope this like fucking Charlie Day whiteboard made sense, I think a lot of people don't look at the more like working class labor side of the music industry, and they want to assume that everybody's a shark or everyone's just trying to take from them, when really it is a negotiation of value and risk. And that's what happened here. And the reason there's no hard feelings between myself and DeepMatter and we can do a thing like this and have it be a positive experience is because we bring value to the table, we bring our own material cost to it, and we work out a situation to make this viable and not bankrupt either party. Maybe even make a little extra money from it, you know. And the best case scenario is that we sell out of this, which would make us, you know, a couple $1,000 each kind of thing. So all things considered, it's a really great situation, but it's not without its risks, and it's not without needing to be in a secure financial position. I remember when I was 22 and finishing up the green EP that I made. So I made 3 EPs when I first started, just like totally DIY, the pink, yellow, and green. And I was like, it'd be really cool to press these on vinyl. And I looked into it indie, you know, I looked into what it would take for me to just put up the cost. And it was probably something like, you know, $1,000 or $2,000 at that time. And I was even looking at like a pressing of like 250, 300, which most places don't do, / like 500 is when you kind of get in the door at a good cost point, good price point. But I realized at that time, I don't have the following, I don't have the listener base to actually support this kind of record. I'm more doing it because I wanted the tangible thing. I wanted to have that sort of like rite of passage, I guess, as an artist. But I realized that it was totally illogical. It was totally, what would I call it? Like irresponsible even. And I stuck to doing digital because I knew eventually if I built up my following, my skill set, my network, my relationship with DeepMatter, and my financial situation, that I could do something like this. I hope that that is an inspiring thing altogether for artists, that really all it takes is planning and execution over a long period of time to do an ambitious thing like make a vinyl record. And I'm so proud of this thing. I hope people buy it and love it and cherish it, and it sits in their record shelf and they pull it out and feel really great and put it on and jam out in their living room. That would make me feel excellent. And it's such a personal record that it's beautiful that that experience of my life could be culminated into a thing that a person could cherish. And because of that, I'm cool with charging $30 for it, you know. It's a lot of love, a lot of time, a lot of energy that went into doing a thing like this. I hope that that not only inspires you, but gives you a more pragmatic sense of what it takes to make this kind of art at this physical level work. I'm done yapping about this for now. So I hope you dug hearing a little bit about what it takes to make a vinyl record and sort of the very practical side of it, the cost, both the human cost and the material financial cost. It is not something that I would have done in the past, but I'm kind of in my season of transparency, vulnerability. Like I transitioned and talked about it on YouTube, and nothing is scarier than that. I'm talking about money. Like I'm talking about a made-up thing, all things considered. So like, whatever. Let me know if you have any questions in the comment section, and I'll do my best to help you. Anything related to like budgeting for a project or finding the right people to work with from a business perspective, I'm happy to, give whatever input I can. Otherwise, if you would like to get a copy of As Night Falls, As Day Breaks, and you are in New York City, I am so happy to announce that I'll be doing an album release show on June 12th at Brooklyn Music Factory, which is where I teach actually. It will be starting around 8 o'clock p.m. My friend John Russell, who if you went to my birthday As Night Falls release show in the fall, he also played on that bill. He'll be opening the night with a short set, and then the band's gonna play the album from tip to tail. Shout out Violet for that one. You can get a copy directly from me. It's gonna be about $30. I'm working out a way to include that in the cost of the ticket so I don't have to double dip. I will leave the ticket link and the pre-order link below. If you do not happen to be in New York City and you would like to get a copy, I will also link my Bandcamp below and the DeepMatter website, and you can get your copy ordered there. Thanks for sticking around till the end. Yeah, from Joni, with love.